Hey friends, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me. Ashley Amudzai here. First of all, I have to say that I'm scared out of my mind to do this Facebook Live, and I have just been pacing back and forth, losing my breath, all of these things, because this is how I know that I am in alignment with God, because this is something that, yes, I would like to do in theory, but I just had a very clear download that I need to share this message with you guys. Super duper important. So here we go. I do have the gift of prophecy. I also identify myself as a psychic. So I wanted to share a little bit about my journey and kind of how this all came about. Because it's crazy, right? Like, who am I to say that? Who am I to have these gifts? Who am I to make these claims, etc.? Trust me, I've had these conversations many times over until I finally just kind of came to the conclusion of, like, this is what I meant to do. So I was sitting in church today, and I was watching the pastor speak, and how, we pray for the pastor, just that the message of the Holy Spirit will just come through. I was like, that's the exact same thing that I do with my clients, is I pray for that guidance. Like, I ask for, God, angels, guides, to be present and allow the message to flow through for the highest good of all. And it got me thinking. So I wrote down a whole bunch of notes in church. So this is kind of what I'm going off of here. It's literally all over the place, but this is the message for me to share. So, I have been going to church for many, 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 many years. I went to Bible study for like 5 years or something. And anyways, as I was there, when people would share different stories or their struggles, I would have these like downloads, I call them now, of information that I would share with them. And same with my friends too. Just this information of, I don't know why I feel the need to tell you this, but... and it would totally land for them, and it was exactly what they needed to hear. And I had mentioned in my previous video, I would say, like, I'm gonna be such a good life coach, but the truth is, it wasn't me. Like, I was just fully present and listening and just loving that person wholly and fully, that I was able to drop my ego, and then these messages would come through. I didn't realize this throughout my entire life. Like, yeah, I had some really cool psychic things happen when I was a kid. I feel like a lot of us have. I thought that was completely normal, but I started to notice was a little bit different. I remember one Bible study, we were doing like a prayer, praise, and a struggle, and I had said, I'm doing really well. I have my gratitude list every day, and I just see God in all things, in the air that we breathe, and the wind, and the trees, and I was just in a really beautiful space. Most of you guys know that's kind of where I'm at, in the sparkle spaces. But anyways, one of the girls said, Ashley, that's not possible. It's like, I don't understand how you can basically be that happy. Like, it's not possible for you to actually be that way. And I remember just feeling different. Like, I knew I was different. I had one person come up to me in the club, and we had been acquaintances, and he's like, Ashley, I don't understand how you're so happy all the time. What are you on? And I was like, what am I on? I'm high on life. Like, I am. And he's like, no, seriously, what are you on? And I was like, drugs? Like, you talking about drugs or something? And he's like, yeah, like, there's no way you can be this happy all the time. And the truth is that, I am really happy, but I have had my bouts of like depression and anxiety and things like that. But I just stay in the light. Like, I've just realized I've mastered a lot of skills, and that I get really clear downloads from God, Supreme Being, Higher Source, Spirit. They're all the same thing. In my book, they're all the same thing. All roads lead to the top of the same mountain. So universe, I use them kind of interchangeably. But I just get these clear messages of what I need to do. And so I just stay in the light, and I'm super happy. So Bible study, life coaching, that's how I got into life coaching, is with my friends. I would have all these profound insights for them, and I had no idea where they came from. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this isn't for me. And then I just had this wild hair. Denise Sheehan, oh my gosh, I love you if you're on here, Denise, you're amazing. I saw her on a Facebook Live, and I just messaged her. This is another way that downloads show up. And I was just told, contact Denise. And so I messaged her, hey, my name's Ashley, and I don't know why, but I got a download. I should contact you. Let's chat and see where it goes. So she introduced me to Reiki, and in our Reiki training, I was getting all these visions. I was seeing things really clearly, and I noticed that other people, not that I was comparing at all, but their experiences were different from mine. Another thing, I was like, I'm a little bit different. What does this mean? Because I thought a lot of what I was experiencing was normal, but the truth is that it's not, as it turns out. So when I was doing Reiki on people, I was getting these, I think I did another video on this, so I'll skip like the details, but I was doing Reiki on people, which is a Japanese form of energy healing. Like, they actually use Reiki in hospitals because it's a form of healing, but it's not as harsh or like manipulative as, in a good way, I should say, for like elderly or cancer patients. So I was like, I'll try this Reiki. You know, I'm Ashley the Arbonne lady, Ashley the health coach. And this is what I do. I'd love to have this in my toolbox. And shortly after, I ended up going to this psychic event with Samantha Fay, who, again, I love so much. I love you, Samantha. I'm sure you're going to pop on here. And it was called Ascend. And it was just a bunch of like healers in the area. And I wanted to be a health coach, but I was developing these skills and I was realizing that these insights, they weren't from me, and I didn't know who to talk to about it. And the church that I did go to, like Living Stones, I still go there. They didn't talk a lot about the gift of prophecy, so I didn't really understand. I needed like a safe place to gather. And anyways, I prayed to God. I said, I have, as a quantum coherence practitioner, I do muscle testing of the body, which is basically just like working with the meridian system of the body. And I love health coaching and I love nutrition stuff. But I also have these gifts. How do I tie it together? And I met Shona Grace, another goddess who I love so much and has been so profound in my journey. But she's a medical intuitive. So she's a psychic, but she works with the body. So I started pursuing that and I started working with her. And my skills developed even more and even more. And I had, after that event, okay, so the Ascend event, I came home. And I know I'm going to sound crazy, guys. Everyone on here, I know every single person here who's on my Facebook as a friend. So just level with me because you know who I am at my heart, right? But when I came home, I could not stop shaking. I could not stop trembling. I was like, I had upset stomach. I was like hearing voices, which I am. So as a psychic, I have many gateways, right? Sometimes through smell, through clairaudience, where I'll hear things, claircognizance, clairsentience, like divine knowing, or and also very clairvoyant. So that's another big way that things will show up. I'll just see visions that make sense. And so anyways, but everything was just turned on high and I was having these crazy visions. I was hearing these angels tell me like, Ashley, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a medical intuitive. And I was like, no, I don't want. I want to be a normal health coach. I want to be Ashley the Arbonne lady. Like, please don't give me this responsibility. Like, that's scary. Psychic is like a provocative word and people roll their eyes at it. And I had this conversation and so much was coming through. I sat in my room and I had my iPad and I was just typing away and I was sobbing. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, why is this coming through? Like, this is what I was expecting. It is what I kind of asked for. Because I was like, God, show me how to tie these two together for your highest good, right? And sharing the mission of God's love and just being our best versions of self. You know, for 7 years I've been doing Arbonne, which I love for so many reasons. I've like grown up in that amazing company, but it's all about like self-empowerment and bettering yourself to better the world and make an impact. And I was getting these clear downloads of this is what I needed to do in order to have this bigger mission. And trust me, I'm a normal human being. Trust me, like, I don't know. It was like when I gave birth to Presley and this little baby came out and she's like, okay, here you go, Mom. And this like crying little infant. And I was like, why do you think I can handle this? I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. Like, not a clue at all. That's how I felt with this. You want me to be a psychic? Like, what do I even call myself? How do I identify with that? So anyways, in the psychic world and with my psychic friends, I should say, that is how I've identified myself. But with my Christian community, which I was always really involved in, it would be known as the gift of prophecy, which is basically having a prophetic word for somebody. And there's like lots more on that. But anyways, I want to tie those two together. Then also, after the psychic opening, so I called my friend. I'm like, hey, Araya, another person who I love. Thank you so much if you're on here. But I called Araya and I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't feel scared, but my body is like trembling. Like I feel sick to my stomach. I'm having these visions. I'm hearing all these things. And she's like, oh yeah, girl. It's just your psychic gateways opening. And I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? I don't know. This is so new. And so I just was breathing into it and I was honoring it. Like I was checking in. Like obviously this was good. And, you know, we all have like a clear distinction of like good and evil, right? Like if you walk into a room or down an alley or whatever and you're like, ooh, this feels really nice, or a scary place and you're like, something feels really off. And I was getting a lot of clarity of this is like angel communication. This is like divine communication. These are downloads. So now it is my responsibility to pursue that. For example, this Facebook Live, I'm going to be real because you're all around my friends. So when I get super nervous, I have to poop a lot. And I poop like 3 times before this. It's like fight or flight that happens. And That's how nervous I am to do this. So leave me happy messages and hearts if you like what I'm doing right now, because this is what I was told to do. This is part of the download. So anyways, after all of this, I ended up going to Soaring High Ministries. I love checking out different churches just because I love the message. And first time I was there, the pastor had no idea who I was. And I left. And anyways, I communicated with him later. And he's like, we actually talked on the phone later. And he said that he had a vision of me. And I was walking into hospitals, or it seemed like a hospital setting, and I was putting my hands on people and healing them. And they weren't just feeling better. They were literally hopping up out of bed feeling better. And he's like, you have the gift of like healing hands or something. I'm like, actually, yeah, I'm like starting my business as a medical intuitive, as a psychic, as a healer. And, I'm kind of shooting in the dark here because this is what I've been called to do, but I'm kind of blazing my own trail, right? And, so from a pastor who had no idea who I was, he saw this. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I do. Like, again, in previous videos, I've shared exactly what a session with me looks like, where I'm doing healing, but I also call it channeled coaching. Again, where I drop my own ego, we set the intention for the highest good of all, and then these like downloads will come through. So the gift of prophecy. I do not tell the future.